This story is something that I will never forget. I worked at a local pizza shop called Dominic's. It was a Friday night, and we were about to close. I was cleaning the place up, getting ready to go home, when the phone rang. We were understaffed, so I was working the counter alone that night and taking all the calls. Dominic's Pizza, how can I help you? There was complete silence, so I hung up. Probably the wrong number. A minute goes by, and the phone rings again. Dominic's Pizza, how can I help you? There was still silence on the other end. I was frustrated and about to hang up again when I heard the voice of a very weak and old man on the other end. He said he needed 2 pepperoni pizzas delivered. I remained professional on the phone, but was screaming with rage on the inside. It was the weekend, and I just wanted to end my shift and get home to my girlfriend. I told my boss about the last-minute delivery, and he said that I had to take it. I cursed him out under my breath, but I needed the tip money anyway, I reminded myself. I wrote down the address and informed the old man that it would be there soon, but he had already hung up. Rude, I said. His tip better not be shit, I thought. And after the cook made the 2 pies, I loaded them into my car. My boss told me just to go home after the delivery. It was already late, and we'd be closed by the time I got back. It was 11 p.m. when I got into my car and plugged the address into my GPS. The house was 10 minutes away. I noticed it was located in the quiet side of town, where there was a lot of woods and forests. I pulled up to the house. It was a large 3-story house on a quiet and empty block. I took the pizzas, walked up to the door, and rung the doorbell. The house was completely dark, no lights on at all. I hoped this wasn't some kind of prank, or that the old man had accidentally given me the wrong address. I rung the doorbell again. Still no answer. I was about to leave when I heard a faint chanting, almost like people humming in unison. That's when I noticed people standing in the windows. I was immediately freaked out and took a step back. The people behind the windows were chanting louder. I couldn't see any of their faces, just black masses in a dark house. I yelled that I'm just here to deliver the pizzas, and that's when the chanting stopped. Even in the dark, I could see the people with big smiles on their faces. Not pleasant smiles, mind you, but smiles that gave me get the hell out of here vibes. Those smiles plastered through the windows still haunt me to this day. I decided that my minimum wage job was not worth finding out whatever the hell these people were doing. I set the pizzas down on the front porch and bolted to my car. I started my car and sent my boss a quick text about the situation, ready to get the hell out of here. I looked to my right, only to see 10 people standing outside my passenger window. They all had cloaked hoods on and were holding some kind of bone necklaces. I said nope and hit the gas pedal, flooring it down the street, not looking back once. I quit my job after that and told myself that I would never do late night deliveries again. This happened when I was a junior in high school, saving up for community college. I was heading out for my last delivery for the day in my 2003 Ford Taurus, the pizza mobile as I like to call it. I GPSed the address into my phone. Since I live upstate in the country, most deliveries were far drives out in the middle of nowhere. It was around 7 p.m. and the sun was beginning to set. After 20 minutes of windy back roads littered with trees, my GPS said I arrived at the address. It was a tiny cabin house sitting all by itself, surrounded by forest. The lawn looked like it had not been mowed in years. Wild vines and weeds wrapped themselves around the tiny wooden cabin. It almost looked vacant, but this did not faze me. I was used to delivering to places just like this all too often. I walked up to the door and knocked. There was no doorbell. I stood in silence for a bit before I knocked again. Silence. "It's the pizza you ordered," I yelled out. I heard a low, hushed voice from behind the door say, "Bring it out back." I didn't like the vibe that I was getting. "Are you sure? I have it right here. I can just give it to you right now." There was no answer. I almost decided just to turn around and go back to my car with the pizza, but my boss has been on my ass lately about bringing pizzas back. So I sighed and started making my way to the back of the cabin. I remember there being a shed and an empty pool back there. In the empty pool, there was a large circle of rocks. Not just random either, like they were strategically placed there. And in the center, there was a large mass of something. In the dying sunlight, I could not tell exactly what the mass was, but it almost looked like... That's when I heard something from behind me. Psst, hey you, over here. And I turned around to see an old lady poking her head out from behind the house. Her hair was crazy. She had electric blue eyes that looked unhinged, and she looked at me with a crazed smile. I need to show you something. She then pointed in the center of the pool, and I dropped the pizza and sprinted back to my car. I got in my car, started it, and floored it. Once I was a good distance away, I pulled over to the side of the road and called the police. A day later, I was informed that the house had been vacant for over 10 years, and that no one was living in it. I quit my delivery job a few days after that. I could get any other job to help pay for my college that didn't involve crazy, unhinged people. I still often wonder what would have happened had I gone up to the woman. And to this day, I'm just glad that I didn't see who or what was in the middle of that pool. I always worked the late night shifts for my pizza delivering job. When I was working there, I lived in the mountains in upstate Pennsylvania. It was a very rural area. Most of my drives were on roads that were in the center of trees and woods. The scenery was one of the main reasons that I enjoyed my job. I was delivering a pizza one night, taking a shortcut through some back roads I knew about that the GPS didn't, when I saw someone jump in front of my car. The loud thump confirmed that I indeed hit whoever this was. My heart pounded and I was in shock. I just hit someone with my car. I immediately got out of the car to see if they were okay. There was a man wearing all black, laying motionless by my passenger tire. He had a huge birthmark scar thing above his right eye. I had no idea what to do, and I was freaking out. What was this guy doing this late in the middle of nowhere, jumping in front of me? But things got weirder. I ran back to my car to grab my phone and call the police. When I went back to the man, he was gone. What the? I said to myself. Something was not right here. Was I going crazy? My heart was racing as I drove off. I ended up still delivering the pizza and then heading back to the shop. When I walked in, my boss saw the disheveled look on my face and asked me what's wrong. I was about to tell him what happened when I noticed the TV on behind him. It was a news report about a man killing his wife and 2 kids. He had escaped police custody and was at large. They showed a picture of who the man was. My jaw dropped. The picture was of a middle-aged man, tall, white, and greasy hair. Over his right eye was a massive scar, just like the scar from the guy that I hit tonight. I called the police and explained what had happened. I told them what road and what time I hit him. They sent 2 units out to the location. Later that night, police informed me that they had caught the man and have him in custody. They found him about a half a mile down the road, limping and hiding in the woods. The officer informed me that by hitting him with my car, I had helped capture a very dangerous and top priority criminal in our county. I was even given an award for public duty. When I think back on this story, it was easily one of the most insane and terrifying experiences of my life.